In today's video you're gonna learn so much because we're gonna be creating that animation. This is gonna be so dope because we're gonna start with that minimalistic style in the beginning, everything's gonna be clean, and then we're gonna transition into that proper 3D editing with dark mode and a lot of glow. And wait for the part when we're gonna be stylizing that second scene because this is gonna be fire. That being said, let's get straight into Adobe After Effects. Alright, so we're back in the software. Let me just show you the comp settings, 1920 by 1080. We're gonna be working with horizontal full HD. If you want the best quality, you can go with 4K. I'm gonna hit OK. And first things first, I'm gonna start off with creating a new solid. So I'm gonna head over here and we wanna pick white solid. I'm just gonna rename it to white BG. Let's hit enter. And this is gonna be our base. So here, I'm gonna actually lock that layer so it doesn't get moved, and we're gonna grab the round rectangle tool and we're just gonna start off with creating our first block. So I'm gonna recenter this, and what you wanna do is actually leave the white color for the fill, but you also need to turn on the solid for stroke. So here instead of white we're gonna pick black. I'm gonna hit OK, and here in the middle we're gonna type in add to cart. We kind of want to imitate that Shopify vibe. I'm gonna recenter, and obviously you can't really see anything because we need to change the color to black. Let's hit OK. And as for this, I'll probably go with Montserrat semi-bold. So it's according to your preference. I just really like Montserrat font. I use it literally everywhere. So this is gonna be our first block. I'll probably just change the roundness to say 45, and I'm actually gonna pre-compose these two, and I'm gonna rename it to add to cart. Alright, pretty much perfect. I'm gonna go into that layer, I'm gonna copy shape layer 1, and I'm gonna paste it here. So this is gonna be our second block. We can actually disable add to cart, and here you wanna set the color of shop pay. So I'm just gonna grab the picker, go to my page. You can already see that, but I'm just gonna grab the color. And in case if you're wondering what's the hex code, here you got it. So just copy the hex code and paste it, and we're gonna get it. I'm gonna hit OK, and I'm gonna rename it to block 1. Actually, this is our second block, but it doesn't really matter. What I'm gonna do next is create the text, and we're gonna type in buy with shop. That's all you wanna use. Then we're gonna recenter, drop it a bit towards the left, and we're gonna set the color to white. This is pretty much perfect. I'm just gonna change the boldness of this. Probably black would be good here. And then we need another text so we can actually duplicate it, drag it towards the right, and we're just gonna type in pay. Alright, so here what you wanna do is decrease the font size to something like that. I probably went overboard. And then we're gonna create second block, which is gonna be way smaller, and we're just gonna squeeze it in over here. So just grab the round rectangle tool and create something like that. We can call it block 2. I'm gonna drop it below pay, actually below the second text as well. And what you want to do with this is basically change the color to white, and we're gonna go to our pay text and we're gonna pick a color of our background. All right, so this is pretty much perfect apart from the roundness. So what you need to do is go to block 2 and decrease it just like so. I'm gonna probably decrease the whole rectangle. Okay, looks really nice. Now what you want to do is make sure that it's in the middle. So for this I'm gonna turn on the proportional grid, and I'm gonna select all 3 layers on top, and I'll try my best to recenter. Okay, probably something like that is good. I'm gonna turn off the proportional grid, and this is actually looking like on Shopify page. So what we need to do is create another pre-comp out of it. So I'm gonna select 4, right click, and pre-compose. We're gonna rename it to shop pay, and we can enable the layer over here. So now this is gonna go higher, and that one is gonna go lower. All right, we're pretty much set with this, and something we're gonna do before we start creating a camera is creating keyframes for position. So make sure to select both of them, and I'm gonna hit Alt-Shift-P. Then I'm gonna drag them towards the right, and I'm gonna play around with Y position. All right, not a lot, just a little. I'm gonna select them all, and I'm gonna apply an intro graph. If I go to the speed graph, it's gonna be peak on the left. Pretty nice. Just make sure to apply opacity keyframes to fade it in, and that way it looks pretty much perfect. But we also need a pointer. So for this I'm gonna head over to the star tool, and I'm just gonna create a triangle. I'm gonna recenter. Here you can adjust the amount of points, and I'm just gonna make sure to go to rotation and change it to 180. Pretty much perfect. We can change the scale, recenter again. And what I'm gonna do is make sure to go to Polystar 1, and I'm gonna right click on Polystar Path 1 and convert to Bezier Path. So here, what you wanna do is delete that point, that one as well, but this needs to go higher. You can hold shift and then we're gonna select these bottom points and I'm gonna hit Ctrl T and I'm just gonna squeeze it in. If you hold Ctrl, it's gonna adjust parallelly and should be fine. Next thing, go to add and pick round corners. Right here we're gonna set it to say 40 or something like that, should be good. So that's how it's looking. And also to create a little bit of separation, add drop shadow to this. Okay, I'm gonna decrease the distance and bump up the softness and that should be good. Right, just make sure to rename it to pointer. And we're pretty much set for creating a camera. So I'm gonna right click, go to new, camera, and make sure to pick a preset of 35mm. Then you can also pick 2-node camera. I'm gonna hit OK and I'm gonna drop it below add to cart. You can let me know in the comments if you prefer to have the camera on top or on the bottom. I used to have it on top, but then I switched to the bottom. And then what I'm gonna do is create a new null object. That null object is gonna be our cam controller. So what I'm gonna do is parent the camera to the null, and also I'm gonna change the color for clarity. Then what you wanna do is turn on 3D on everything, and we're just gonna move away. So I'm gonna hit P, and with Z position, we're just gonna go further away. Okay, this is pretty much perfect. And now we wanna create a keyframe for position, then go to pointer, and here as well we're gonna create a keyframe for position. Right, we can move it somewhere here. I'm gonna go to the beginning, and here the pointer needs to go closer to the camera, just like so. We can actually, I don't know, go towards the right. Then we can play around with Z rotation. So I'm gonna create keyframe for Z, move it forward, and here we're gonna start like that. All right, so that keyframe, actually this is gonna be our starting keyframe, and then we're gonna get closer, just like so. Okay, so that's what we have so far. I'm gonna align the keyframes and I'm gonna apply mid-graph. Mid-graph is basically a peak in the middle. So this is already looking really nice. And then what you want to do is actually close everything down. I'm gonna hit Ctrl D for cam control 1, hit U, and I'm gonna delete the last keyframe. Now you need to parent 1 to 2, just like so, and we're gonna make sure to overlap the keyframes. So we're just gonna go to the middle of these two keyframes, and I'm gonna make sure 2 is selected, and I'm gonna go lower, just so the shop pay is actually in the middle. Alright, pretty much perfect. And then we need to create a new null object for our pointer. So I'm gonna right click, go to new, null object, and let's call it pointer controller. Then I'm gonna turn on the 3D, parent pointer to pointer controller, and actually, you know what, I feel like this is a bit too big, so we can scale it down just like so. All right, so that's what we got. And now as for the pointer controller, I'm gonna create a keyframe for position, then I'm gonna align the playhead with this keyframe, and we're gonna move lower, just like so. We can actually go towards the right, and something we could do is play around with rotation. So I'm gonna set a keyframe for Z, align it with that keyframe, and we're just gonna do it like that. Alright, so that's what we have. And then we definitely need to apply the same graph over here. So select all 6 keyframes and apply mid graph. Alright, so this is already really nice. And here we're gonna finish that animation with a click imitation. So all we need to do is basically create keyframes for scale in both pointer and our shop pay. So what I'm gonna do is select these two. I'm gonna hit Alt Shift S, move forward, and we wanna decrease the value for scale just a little bit. Then I'm gonna copy the first keyframes and I'm gonna paste them behind. So that way we're gonna get that clicking effect. Then what you wanna do is select all 6 keyframes and apply F9. So that way we easy ease. And here right at this moment, when we're clicking, we're gonna have a transition to another scene. And by the way, something you could do is just head over to the shop pay, hit U for this, and select keyframes for position and opacity, and just move it a bit forward, not a lot. Actually, I went overboard. I'm just gonna probably set it like that. And this is pretty cool because this seems to be kind of delayed. This is literally perfect. Now I think we can close down the first scene with pre-composing all layers. So what I'm gonna do is make sure to uncheck lock for the white background. And right at this moment after the click, we're just gonna select everything. And what I'm gonna do, right click, go to pre-compose, and we can call it scene 1. Let's hit enter. And here we're gonna trim that layer. Actually, we need to trim it right at the clicking effect. So let's check it out. All right, this is almost perfect. I might go 1 frame forward, and yeah, this is gonna be perfect. By the way, we can actually do it right away because we're gonna forget. I'm gonna turn on the motion blur. Way better. Let's go back, and now we need to start creating another scene. And for another scene, we need to go back to scene 1. And what I want you to do is go to shop pay, and we're gonna copy everything over here. So I'm gonna hit Ctrl C, go to our animation, and I'm gonna hit Ctrl V. So basically, we don't really need to do anything with this. We might do one adjustment, which is basically going to size, and I'm gonna extend X a little bit. So this is pretty cool. Then what I'm gonna do is select all layers and I'm gonna pre-compose them. We're gonna call it shop pay again. Let's hit enter, and we're just gonna be starting off somewhere here. Actually, whenever I'm creating, I really like to create from the beginning. So what we're gonna do is basically pre-compose that layer, and right away we're gonna create scene 2. So I'm just gonna rename it to scene 2, hit enter, and if we go into that, we already can start creating our scene. And here we need to start off with the camera. So I'm gonna right click, go to new, and pretty much the same procedure. So we're gonna click and then set 35mm preset to no camera. Let's hit OK, drop it below or above. I'm gonna right click, go to new, no object, and I'm gonna rename to cam control. I can't really wait until we start stylizing that particular scene. This is gonna be fire. All right, just change the color for clarity so you don't get confused. And what we need to do is turn on the 3D on everything. Also make sure to parent the camera to the cam control 1, and we can start off with creating a movement. So I'm gonna hit Alt-Shift-P for our cam control. Then I'm gonna probably move a bit backwards, it's too close. We'll see in a second. I'm gonna move that keyframe forward. All right, so what we're gonna do is just move backwards, not a lot, just a bit. I'm gonna select both and I'm gonna apply easy ease. Then what you wanna do is select both again. I'm gonna go to the graph editor. Actually, I'm gonna pick speed graph and we're gonna create a peak on the left. So let's do it like that, an extremely sharp letter L, and we're just gonna get closer, actually squeezing the keyframes. All right, this is pretty good. I'm gonna go back, and we also need to use a spotlight over here. So what I'm gonna do is right click, go to new, light, and you can actually copy my settings like I have them over here. Let's hit OK. And what I'm gonna do is go to second view, and here we're gonna adjust the lighting. By the way, if you don't have the same view, just make sure to go to custom view 1. All right, I'm gonna select this. I'm gonna move it away, drag it upwards, and then with X over here on rotation or orientation, I don't even know, we're gonna make that light hit from above, just like so. Right, this is already a very moody vibe. Let me just zoom in. I'm gonna move away with this. Then I'm gonna go to one view and we got something like that. This is already fire. And now what you want to do is start playing around with that layer. So we can go to rotation, just play around with the values and find the sweet spot over here. All right, so this seems already a bit better. I'm gonna go to second view again. And I feel like we could move it a bit further away so we can see more. I'm gonna go to one view and probably I would go to the spotlight, double click it, and bump up the intensity a bit, just like so. If we need any adjustments, we'll figure it out later on. This is already looking really nice. I'm just gonna go to the camera, hit P, and I'm gonna move away a bit, just like so. We'll see later on if we need any adjustments. I would probably go to the spotlight again. And one thing I would do is bump up the cone angle. So basically it's gonna hit more of the stuff. I'm gonna hit OK, and then we're gonna duplicate shop pay. So just hit Ctrl D and just start playing around with this. I'm gonna move it to the back with Z. Probably start playing around with orientation. Just wanna make sure that that one is our main focus. Right, this is already looking nice when it's covered in shadows. This is fire. I'm gonna duplicate that one. Let's drag this one to the left. We can play around with orientation. All right, let's find the sweet spot. Jesus, I can't really set it up. Then we're gonna duplicate it one more time and let's start playing around with this. Okay, here we got it. I really want to have them pretty dark, just like so. Oh bro, it's already fire. All right, let's play around with Z. I'm gonna probably have that one somewhere in the back, maybe like that, maybe even more. Ooh, that's looking good. Then we're gonna duplicate shop pay one more time, have it somewhere here. Okay. So when it's disappearing in the shadows, it's just looking so good. Just feel like it's stealing too much attention. Okay, that's what we have. It's already looking absolutely amazing. And now what you want to do is create a new null object, and I'm gonna just put it right below the spotlight. I'm gonna call it shop pay controller. I'm gonna turn on the 3D and we're gonna select all shop pay layers and we're gonna parent them to our shop pay controller. And now what we need to do is basically create keyframe for position. I'm gonna drag it forward and we're just gonna do it like that. Right, so that's what we have. Doesn't really look that good, but if we actually start adding some graphs, I'm gonna go for the intro graph. It's gonna look better. Okay, we might also want to go for the same graph as before, which is an L letter. All right, this is perfect. I really like that the movement is going for a bit of time. As you can notice, it's still going on. So that's what you want to aim for. So the first thing we're going to apply that is going to be an absolute game changer is optics compensation. So for this, I'm going to right click, go to new, adjustment layer. Let's go to optics. I'm going to apply the effect. And let's go summary here so we can see how the effect is changing the game here. All right, we're gonna bump up the field of view and check it out. This is gonna be so good. So I want you to set it to like 140, I mean according to your preference. And this is so freaking nice. Just make sure to go to optimal pixels and just click this. So that way it's just gonna remain the size we had before. Bro, this is looking so good already. One adjustment. I'm gonna go to our shop pay controller. I'm gonna have the playhead on one of the keyframes, select them both, and we kind of want to finish off the movement with the pay being in the middle, just like so. This is an absolute fire. I'm just thinking maybe going from the other side would be better. So I'm gonna drag the first keyframe like that. And let's see now. Ooh, that's even better, bro. Alright, so I think we're gonna stick with that movement. We might want to go to the optics, and you can always play around with the value. I feel like going for 145 might be actually better. Alright, so this is just the starting point. Now we're gonna create another adjustment layer. So I'm gonna go to new adjustment layer, and here we're gonna add exposure. I'm gonna add the effect, and what you wanna do with this is alt click the stopwatch for exposure, and we're gonna type in wiggle, and in brackets say 11,0.3. Let's see. So this is gonna give us that blinking effect. Then what we're gonna do is go to the first shop pay over here, so the main one, and we're gonna apply CC light sweep effect. So this is gonna be such a game changer here, but we need to add a little bit of movement to this. So here in the edge thickness, we're gonna set it to 2. This is gonna look a bit more minimalistic in my opinion. And then we're gonna have the center, which is the X over here. We can actually use that point over here. We're just gonna have it somewhere here. Then what I'm gonna do is bump up the width just like so, and we're gonna keyframe center. Now I'm gonna hit U, go back, and we're gonna start that center, actually have that center somewhere here. So you can either just drag the point or play around with X over here. Alright, so that's what we have. But we definitely need to apply a graph over here. So I'm gonna add intro, which is basically a peak on the left. This is looking good, but we need to actually make it a bit smoother. Yeah, bro, that's looking fire. Alright, so now to spice it up, we're gonna add another adjustment layer, and I'm gonna call it curves. Now let's add the effect. And we're just gonna drag it down here and drag it up over here to create an S-curve. Okay, this is looking nice. So next thing I'm gonna do is right click, go to new adjustment layer, and we need another thing. And another thing is gonna be called noise. So I'm gonna add the effect, and here I'm gonna set it to 12, and I'm gonna uncheck use color noise. I hope YouTube won't compress that noise effect, because in After Effects it looks absolutely amazing. Alright, so that's what we got so far. Bro, I'm giving so much sauce today. And then what you wanna do is right click, go to new adjustment layer, and we're gonna call it glow. So here we're gonna apply regular glow instead of deep glow. I always use deep glow, and we're gonna bump up the radius. And now if you want to take it on another level, is basically going to our shop pay controller. I'm gonna hit U, and I'm gonna hold shift click R. I'm gonna go over here, and I'm gonna set keyframes for rotation. Then I'm gonna move over here, and if you start playing around with Z, you're gonna get an extremely cool look. Just need to figure out which side is gonna be better. I feel like that side is gonna be a bit better. Then you can't go overboard with Y or X, but you can try playing around with this. Alright. Bro, this is so good. But we need to apply the same graph, so I'm gonna read the values for this, which is basically an L, and I'm gonna apply it over here. Now what we want to do is go back to our animation, and here I'm thinking about using deep glow instead. So what I'm gonna do is create a new adjustment layer. I'm gonna call it deep glow. You can try it with the regular glow. I'm gonna trim the layer over here, and I'm gonna apply the effect. So here I'm gonna take the radius all the way to 2000. I'm gonna set the exposure to 2, and I'm gonna keyframe it. Now let's hit U, move forward just a bit, and we're gonna set it to 0. Alright, so we're gonna get that flash effect right away, but we need to apply a graph. So I'm gonna hit F9, go to the graph editor, and we can fit the graph. And what you wanna do with this is basically drag the yellow dot to the left and do it like that. Alright. We're gonna get that flashy effect. Bro, there's no way I'm not gonna show it to you. Let's just check it out. You probably already guessed. I'm gonna create a new adjustment layer, and I'm gonna type in posterized time, and let's just see posterized time with 17. Let's just check it out. Might be better, might be worse. But obviously we need to turn on the motion blur. I feel like posterized time is perfect for fast movements. So for example, when it's going slow in the beginning, it's not looking that great. But when the pointer is getting closer towards the buttons, it's looking way better. Alright, I'm gonna do you a favor, I'm gonna delete it. Let's go to scene 2. And what we wanna do is turn on the motion blur for everything over here, for all the shot pace. And I think we should be good. Let's go back. Right, let's see the whole thing. It's a bit choppy, but it's looking absolutely amazing. I just feel like we need to play around with the timing over here. So I'm gonna try to do my best. Okay, like that. Take it back. Yeah, that's good. And here we'll probably need to apply another adjustment layer. I'm gonna rename it to blur, and let's try with the radial blur. All right, I'm gonna set it to like 20. Then I'm gonna keyframe. Let's hit U, move over here. This is gonna look bad here. But I'm gonna set it to 0, and then here we're gonna set it to 0 as well. Let's see. Okay, this is pretty good. Then I'm gonna try one more thing, which is gonna be saddle shake. So for this, I'm gonna create another adjustment layer, and let me just rename it to shake. And here I'm gonna apply one of the shakes from my pack. Let's go for HHD, maybe saddle breeze. Oh, this might be even better. Holy moly. Bro, with the radial blur, this is looking absolutely fire. I'm just gonna make sure to scale it up just a bit. Just one thing, I'm gonna go to that radial blur, and I could probably start it a bit later, just like so. Alright, this is such a fire animation. One thing you could do though is going to camera, transform, alt click the point of interest and type in wiggle, and in brackets we're gonna add 1,10. Just a saddle camera shake. Let's just see it back there. It's not gonna be really visible, but you're gonna notice the difference whenever the movement stops. See, it's moving a little bit, which is pretty cool. All right, I think we're gonna wrap it up here. We got a fire animation. Hopefully the tutorial was insightful. Make sure to check out the editing shift because I got some fire animations there ready to use. So if you wanna cut your editing time in half or even more, then that's the place. First link in the description. That being said, you can check out the video on the screen, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers, guys.